What's up, everybody? This week, I talked to Simon Birks. Simon's got a great book out from Image called Antarctica, and he is the founder of Blue Fox Comics, a fantastic indie comic publisher based in the UK. Check it out. Hey, guys, welcome to the show. Simon Birks. Simon, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
I appreciate you coming on. Simon, writer, actor. Currently, Antarctica, the comic book, is out from Image. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. I say it's over the pond here. It's a lovely 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm doing very well. I'm awake. So
Fantastic. You mentioned that it's nice to do a daytime podcast for once.
it is. I have some others scheduled in. I think the worst one currently is 5 a.m.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But yes, but it's so it's really nice. Obviously, it's lovely to be able to sit down and to have lovely people like yourselves wanting to know more about Antarctica and other stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very intrigued. The book is fantastic. It's out
Mm.
from Image under the Top Cow label. Now you're an actor, you're a writer. Have you always been a
Mhm.
comic book fan?
Yeah, I'd say the I think I first encountered comics when I was 7 years old.
Mhm.
My I know there were seven because I know the dates on the comics. My nan used to buy me some the British kind of variants of the Marvel sort of
Mhm.
books, comic books that we got over here. Yeah, 1977 Spider-Man. So I've always been a Spider-Man fan. But I have to say, sort of. Uh, that probably went on for 3 or 4 years, but then there has been quite a big gap
Mhm.
whilst I was busy writing all sorts of other things. So the old teenage angst plays and the and not sort of poetry, and then plays, and then short stories, novels, films. So I've done a lot of writing, and then I had a lot of short films sitting on a hard drive. So and then I thought, okay, how can I actually make these into things that people will see, because in the nicest way, so they won't if I made short films, they cost a lot of money and not a lot of there's
Right.
not a lot of audience for them. So this was the best option. Well, then this was a good option. I thought I could maybe turn them into comics. So obviously I've gone through the process of actually learning how to write comics. It's not a case of
Mhm.
okay, yeah, you just do this and this, and hey presto, it works. But yes, so eventually in sort of uh I think it was 2014. The first comic was had been written and illustrated, and we went to Kickstarter in 2015. So it's been since there. So yeah, there was a bit of a 25-30 year gap, but
Uh,
I've always been a nerd, is the truth. So I mean, it's always been there. um I don't know. I guess I grew up in places which didn't have comic shops.
mhm.
They're not, maybe they're just not as prevalent over here. But yeah. So anyway, I caught on slightly later, but here I am. By golly.
It's you are here. It is very fascinating that everybody who I've talked to doing the show has had such an
Mm,
interesting way into comics. Like you just said, you had a lot of short films kicking around on your hard drive, and you're
mm,
thinking to yourself, how could I get people to see my ideas on the page, right? Or
mm.
whatever. So you're making a comic book, but then that could be an interesting way to get those things made at the end of the day as well. You know what I mean? Like I feel like comic book properties have
Yes,
been scooped up left and right over the last couple of years to get made into films and television.
you're right. It very much.
Mm.
And that that wasn't there wasn't some evil genius plan from my side.
Mhm.
I think it's just fallen that way. Um, but I'm not going to complain. But yeah, so
Right.
it is. Yeah, and they very much are. And so they are quite. It's great to be able to go to obviously people and kind of give them something that that they can actually see.
Mm.
I think I've heard on quite a few occasions from people in the industry saying that it really does help if the people who green light these things or even start reading the early stages can actually see something. then it helps. So whatever it might turn into in the end. So yeah.
Right. It's fascinating too, because, like you have a comic book and, comic books are beautiful, right? Beautifully drawn, beautifully written, illustrated, the whole nine. It's the
Yeah.
storyboard, essentially,
Yeah.
that's it, that's your pitch, that's your storyboard. Talk to me about Antarctica. Where did this idea come from? Was it originally funded on Kickstarter and then scooped up by Image?
How it worked is
Mm.
I've done a lot of Kickstarters. I'm on like my 56th one that I'm running
Mhm.
now, and so I was always having a look at Kickstarter all the time, in general, just to see what's on there as well.
Right.
And I saw that Top Cow were doing a Kickstarter of their own, for something called Stairway Anthology,
Mhm.
and one of the rewards was, if I paid $1,000, then I would get a short 6-page story in their anthology. And I was fortunate enough to have that money. I was fortunate enough to see it at the right time.
Mhm.
So I jumped on it really, and yeah, and backed it. And then I think over the course of, I don't know, it feels like a year or 2 years, things slowly started turning, and then there was like a round table in Los Angeles, um, which me and my wife flew out. We had a little holiday around this
Mhm.
round table because I wanted to sit down and wanted to see people face to face. I think it always,
Right.
obviously, it always helps. Like this
Yeah.
does. If you can see people, if you can shake their hands, if you can just say hello. So yeah, so I wanted to do that. So uh, the story idea, I think the story idea again comes from 30 years of nerdom. I thoroughly
Mhm.
enjoy sort of single location type stories,
Yeah.
which kind of Antarctica is, even though we have flashbacks and stuff. Um, I do like that sort of, you're in one area. Um, but yeah, the actual no, I couldn't tell you where the actual idea came from because
Mhm.
I just can't remember. I've got to say my Word document which I've jotted down these ideas, and so it probably came from some note written, or on some sort of either piece of paper or electronic device, and I probably just expanded on that for this. I thought, okay, I
Mhm.
better have something for the round table because I think you need to have an idea. So yeah, and yeah, they seem to like it quite a lot. And then I think over the process of it being created, that they enjoyed working with me, and I enjoyed working with them, and they invited me to try and pitch something longer, for Antarctica. So I did, and they said yes, and that's kind of how it came about. So I'm also, when I went over, I'd already I run a company called Blue Fox Comics in the UK.
Mhm.
We do lots of Kickstarters, so I already had quite a few comics that I'd written and produced. So I was able to go over there and show them those as well. I mean, I always think that these things are, one of their uses is as a calling card. Here, this is what I can do. Have
Mhm.
a read of that. So I talk about those over as well. So hopefully, a bit of everything really. I think a bit of just professionalism, niceness, hard work, I think helped. So, and I'm sure a healthy dollop of luck, especially again seeing the Kickstarter at the time I did, and having the funds to be able to back it. So, yeah, yeah,
It's very cool. It's almost kind of like you got lightning in a bottle right there. If you hadn't seen that Kickstarter, who knows where the journey would
oh
have taken you.
yeah,
Now,
yeah, it's amazing.
now, Antarctica reads very cinematically. Now, being a writer and actor, is that something that you incorporate into your work?
I think so. I think it's a definite thing. I think when you read Antarctica, I think the first issue, um, just the initial 6 pages that we did for, or I did for, the anthology,
Mhm.
ends up being the last 6 pages in issue one,
Okay.
pretty much verbatim. But so the rest of it, so the first whatever 16 pages is, and it's like the first 20 minutes of a film, really.
Yeah.
It's, you get to know about the character. I wanted people to care. We're going on a journey here
Mhm.
for Hannah. They need to care. They need to know where she's been. So yeah, so the first 16 pages are, pretty much is introducing Hannah, before she gets off Tatooine. It's that sort of,
Yeah.
it's so who she is. So when weird stuff starts happening at the end, yeah, you're invested, and I hope that comes across. And it's not the way I see a lot of comics written,
Mhm.
in truth, but it's yeah. I watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of films. It's what I enjoy. If I don't care about the characters, action alone doesn't do it for me. So
Okay. Now, what are some of your influences as far as writing goes? Like you mentioned that you watch a lot of film and television.
mm, well, um, what do I like? I mean, I like probably quite an eclectic mix. Recently, I really enjoy things like Severance, Silo,
Okay.
um, sort of quirky stuff as well. I really like. Well, obviously, you've got the classic films. I mean, I think we when I pitched this, it was like Stargate meets his Dark Materials type thing. So that sort of side of things as well.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, if it's I don't know, if it's got a good story, if I care about the people, that's a long way. I honestly, I happily sit down and we were out with friends the other night. We were talking about Bridgerton. Now, Bridgerton is obviously a guilty pleasure, but it's I
Uh,
love it. I love the people, I love the characters. So it's a broad range of things that I enjoy. So happily.
Now, Antarctica finishes up. It's going to wrap up with number 5 coming out soon, right? I believe
Mhm.
within the next month. Do you see yourself revisiting this world and doing another story, or is this it for now?
Well, the great news is that they have renewed it. It's now actually an ongoing series.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
so the first arc, yeah, wraps next month with issue 5. And that's and you find out a bit more of a mystery of the mystery. It's kind of, it's an onion, isn't it? It's a many layered onion.
Mhm.
So it's yeah, so you get a certain amount, and then we carry on straight away with number 6 in December. So
Mhm.
in December we've got number 6 coming out. Number 6 starts a new arc. We go back in time, from when Hannah is a young girl, and although which Hannah it is, I'm not going to say, but one of the
Okay.
Hannahs, we
Hey,
see
Hannah.
when they're young, and we find out more, and we find out more about the backstory for all these characters. So again, it's kind of really making people aware of who they are, what their motivations are, so they can see, so as we progress, and as we continue to tell the story, we want people to understand why they're doing what they're doing, understand why they're choosing the path that they're choosing. So
Now,
yes, so that's
now,
very
let,
exciting.
now, let me ask you:
Mm.
did you have the rest of this in your head or jotted down somewhere before they renewed it, or were you like, all right, this is the end? Oh, now I got to come up with the extra.
Yeah, for me, issue 5 was never going to be the end. It was always a big story, and I
Hmm.
think I was always, I always have my fingers crossed, really. um I was lucky enough to be in San Diego for the first time, and signing at the Top Cow booth, which I was
Hmm.
blown away doing. And yeah, whilst we were there, yeah, I mean, I may have dropped a few hints that I had more, and but yes, they were obviously very happy, and said yes, we'd like to, yeah, do the second arc. So yes, it was always going to be more. Saying that, I have changed. It's true to say that the last page of issue 5 has now changed because
Hmm.
of the continuation. So we've got yeah. So that's interesting. But no, I was always hoping it was going to be, I was going to be able to tell more of it.
Hmm.
And yeah, and here we go. And as I say, get a strap in, because it's going to be, yeah, a lot of fun.
I'm excited. This is definitely one of those books where I, as a fan myself, I usually tend to pick up image number ones. I just feel
Hmm.
personally
Yeah,
like their number
yeah.
ones are usually like a home run. And so like I kept buying the book and just thinking to myself, like, like I know this is a mini, but I feel like it could be expanded into a lot
Hmm.
more. Um,
Hmm.
Now, how did you get hooked up with Willie Roberts doing the art on this?
Yeah, Woody has worked for has done been an artist for Blue Fox Comics. So Blue Fox Comics, so again,
Mm,
who I run in the UK.
okay.
He came on board for I haven't got it here, but there's a comic we do called Cloda, which is a dark fantasy of witches beheading people and eating their eyeballs and stuff like that. So he's worked
Mm,
on that with me, and so I know his work process. I know I know he's very quick, and he understands, because my panel descriptions are at best 2 sentences long. They're not. I don't go into a lot of detail,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and because I mean, artists are great at their job, so it's nice to be able to say, okay, now, and it's collaboration, so it's really nice to have
Right.
them to have all their input, as much input as possible. So yeah, so we already had that work practice, and he also has he does the internal art. I write choose your own adventure books as well, and he does
Okay.
the internal art for that. So we have quite a lot of so we've had a lot of work together. So yeah, so that's how I knew Willie. I mean, I found Willie because, I mean, he's based in Argentina.
Hmm.
There's a website that I just went and asked for artists. I think that was for Cloda, and he was one of the artists who replied. And so yeah, I found him via that, which is really nice. And also the letterer, a chap called Lyndon White, who's been
Hmm.
with kind of Blue Fox right from the beginning, lettering stuff, and also he's a great artist. We publish quite a lot of his work as well. So really, the team that we've got here has come from Blue Fox, and yeah, and it's so nice to be able to, yeah, this is a goal. The goal is, great if I can get somewhere, but even better if I can help other people and
Yeah.
do that sort of stuff. And that's what's happened. So yeah, and also you'll find on uh, issue 5, the variant artist on issue 5 is a lady called Marjorie, and she
Mm.
has also done other work for us as well. So again, just getting her on board, and yeah, just, I don't know, giving people the whatever the word is. I'm thinking of the wrong words, but
Yeah, yeah.
helping, not helping,
The platform. The
just,
platform. You're giving people the
yeah,
platform to
thank
be
you, the
seen.
platform.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, yeah, very much, very much. Because obviously there's
uh,
so many great artists out there who don't get a chance to do it, so it's really important.
I say this all the time, in my personal life and in on the show, where as far as comics go, it's an embarrassment of riches at this point between writers and
Mm,
artists. Like there's so many
mm,
amazing writers and artists out there that we're not even, it's nuts how like it's not even like the tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean?
mm.
So
Yeah,
you founded Blue Fox Comics in 2015, I believe.
yeah,
What are
yeah.
some standouts from the line of books? There's a lot of kind of supernatural comics, I want to say, in the lineup. Like what are your picks if you wanted somebody to, hey, listen, I'm going to put this indie book in your hand that my company put out.
Mm.
What would be some of your favorites?
Well, since I've written a few, I might be biased, but we have some books here. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure how the camera's set up, but we've just been to a Comic Con, so things like Hexes.
Mhm.
This is the reverse. It's called Hexes, and so this is like an anthology book, sort of 4 stories written by me, but drawn by different artists, all
Mhm.
set in the same universe. So that's really good, because you get a taste of well, my writing and some of the different artists that you use. So Hex is really good. Volume 1. Another popular one I've got here, again written by me, sort of Robin, which is a gender flip Robin Hood, where she's a young girl in Sherwood Forest,
Oh,
but
very cool.
also has some Arthurian characters thrown in there as well. So that's really cool. Um, but we have lots of other stuff. I'm just trying to think here. Other people's work. I haven't got it all here, but I can show you. There's one we recently published called Shed, which is
Mhm.
well, it's just an amazing book. Which is kind of creepy, small town, I don't know, horror type thing. I don't know, but that sort of thing. So anyway, bluefoxcomics.com, you'll find a lot of them on there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there. The first one, I'm just trying to think. Yes, I've got it here. So the very first one, the one that me and Marielle, my wife, sat behind our first Comic Con table, so trying to sell number one, was it's called Sinners, and it's a tale of a girl who wakes up dead, as you do, and then it just gets worse from there. And she drives a limousine. She sort of inherits this limousine, which tells where the next sinner is, and when she drives around America. When she finds them, the trunk opens up and they disappear in a blinding flash of light. But we also get to find out where they're going and what's happening. So that's a very small stuff from what we do, but there's a lot on there. The lovely thing is we do a Kickstarter a month, so that's 12 books a year. Sometimes they're just single issues, sometimes they're trades, and so yeah. But have a look. There's a lot of stuff on there, and a lot of stuff is actually available via Diamond as well. This is my salesman bit. I mean, I'm rubbish at being a salesman, but a lot of the trades are available as via thing. One thing I will tell you about is will I find it? One moment. I'm just going to walk over here.
Sure. Yeah.
That's all right. I'm still here. We've got two books at the moment in previews. So if you want to be really current, we've got one called The Inspectors, which is kind of a mashup with Houdini, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, a young Agatha Christie. So interesting stuff.
That's very cool.
Obviously in the UK. And we've done a deluxe version of our Mountains of Madness. So there you go.
Very cool.
Rather fancy. So these are both available right now in previews. So anyway, there you go. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, I'll no, don't be quiet. I need you to talk. There's so much cool stuff on the website now. It skews more towards horror. Like, has horror been a big influence in your creativity?
Yeah. I'm a big Stephen King fan, really. And generally, there's this strange story when I was sort of 11 years old or 12 years old. Weirdly, I won the school prize for science. I came top in the whole of the year.
Oh, wow.
And no one imagined, I didn't say it. No, I was a very quiet 11, 12-year-old. And I came top, and they gave out a voucher, some sort of book voucher. So you could go and get books. And I didn't realize that they were going to give these books out in a ceremony. So, because I was young and very naive. And also, the other thing I didn't realize is that all the other kids who won prizes were going to buy things like, how to get better in maths, or, historic and actual subject type things. But I bought a book called 666 and The Entity. So those are the two books I bought. So I had to, as a 12-year-old kid, I had to walk up in this special ceremony, and they actually read out the books that you chose as well. I've never been more embarrassed. But clearly, when I was 11 and 12, nobody was watching what I was reading. But it's just what I enjoyed. It's just I've been brought up on horror, and kind of psychological horror. I'm not really a blood and guts sort of person. I much prefer to creep people out really than anything else.
I think I'm in the same boat as you are. Like, I love watching a 80s 90s Stephen King movie. It's just there's something like so comforting and cozy about it. Like, my wife and I just watched Graveyard Shift last night, which, listen, not a great movie, but listen, it's still great in the fact that it's like, it's based on a Stephen King story. So that being an influence in your work, do you have anything on deck for the future besides Antarctica that's in the horror vein, let's say?
Well, Woody and I have pitched a project called The Kids in the Woods, and saying that at the moment, because now Antarctica is is a monthly comic. We're not likely to be able to get on that anytime soon. We're going to be continuing on Antarctica. He's quite busy drawing his 22 pages a month. But so really, that's from a larger publishers. That's Antarctica is the only book I've got at the moment. I am actively looking to try and get another. I'd love to get another title out there, in comic shops as a monthly. But obviously, from a Blue Fox perspective,
Mhm.
yeah, I've just got loads. Yeah, there's just yeah. Again, I was talking to my wife earlier about I just the stress that I feel is that I know I'm not going to be able to get to all those ideas that I keep having, and that's kind
Mhm.
of the stress bit. But it's a lovely stress to have, isn't it? Really, I can't really
It's
complain
a
about that.
it's a champagne
But
problem.
yeah, yeah, it is. It is. I can't. But yeah. So there's lots of stuff. I'm just trying to think specifically horror. Yeah, probably. I've got quite a few books. So I've got more hexes. Actually, I showed you the hexes. There's a hexes volume 1, which I showed you. And there's a volume
Mhm.
2, but I've both published. But I've actually got a couple of stories for volume 3 now done. So I'm just trying to really sort of ramp those up and try and get a volume 3 out because they're always very popular. I think people like them. So because they're one and dones and they don't need to worry. Obviously,
Mhm.
the classic question at the convention, is this the whole thing? And so yeah, that Hexes was almost kind of born because of that,
Yeah.
and because when we started with Sinners is this sprawling 12 issue epic,
Mhm.
and you think, yeah, maybe and going back in time, maybe I wouldn't have started with that one, but there you go.
It's interesting how folks now just want something self-contained, like I appreciate that.
Mhm.
We're all busy. Um
Mhm.
Now, this is a question I get asked because I do this show talking to creators and I have no resource or in, but since you
Mhm.
do run an indie publisher, how could people pitch to you or do you accept pitches?
What we do, we accept finished things.
Okay.
I think. So on the bluefoxcomics.com website, there's a submissions link. It sets out there a few stipulations. Yeah, so it has to be finished. We don't have over sexualized characters. It's just
Hmm.
normal people, please, and no violence towards women. We don't have because that's not what we do.
Hmm.
And yeah, and apart from that, there might be a couple more on there, but that's the sort of thing. So obviously have a look at the work we've got on there. There's some example pages from most of the things. I'm always the sort of person who gets 80% of the job done. So there's probably about 20% which I haven't got pages on there. But have a look at our stuff. You can buy PDFs of our stuff as well. I mean, you can buy it digitally. Um, I like quirky art, even though Woody's art is obviously stupendous and
Hmm.
quite would fit it with to me Marvel DC sort of work. I there's a lot of our stuff which is quirky. So that sort of stuff. I don't know if it's a good story and I like it and it looks good,
Hmm.
then it's got a fair chance, I have to say.
That's cool. That's a good little insight for folks because I know there's, like there's so many independent publishers out there, and so
Mhm.
many folks just want their own comics out there. That's a good little
Mhm.
resource to have. I'll make sure to link Blue Fox to
Yeah,
once this gets published. Now I would be remiss to not ask on your bio on the Image website. The last line says Michael Palin once called a film he co-wrote very silly, and that's good enough for
yeah,
him. Tell me
yeah.
about that.
Wow. I'm just trying to think when it was. I think it was back in. I say back in. It's like it was years ago. Like I think 2012, maybe 2011.
That far back.
I yeah, there was a chap I know, Martin Gooch. He's a director and a writer.
Mhm.
He was looking for somebody. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully, I'm not doing an injustice, but I think he said he'd written like half a film, and he wanted somebody to come on board and help him write the other
Mhm.
half. So that's cool. And not one to say no if it's an opportunity like that. I mean, and I jumped on, and over the course of a few months, uh, I kind of filled in the gaps, and we developed the script. Um, the film's called The Search for Simon. It's actually got nothing to do with
Mhm.
me. It was already called that before
Uh,
I got on board. And yeah, so I wrote half of it. I've also got a part in it as well. So yeah, I play kind of like his best friend. So yeah, so that's quite good fun. But I mean, it was very interesting. I think it was the first time I'd worked on a set like that. I mean, it was an indie film, but still,
mhm.
an indie set. It gave me. I'm very much sort of a person who, if I see something, I think, oh, I can probably do that. I'll go and do it, or I'll do my
Mhm.
damnedest to do it. So after that, I actually, I wrote a film, and then we went. I produced the film, and also I wrote a sitcom, and we produced a sitcom as well. But anyway, that's afterwards. But yes, so the Search for Simon, and a lady called Carol, can't remember her last name, but Carol, who was in part of the Monty Python team of old. She was the only woman almost in the Monty Python ensemble. She was in it, so and that's why they came along. But not only that, though, but Martin is also a friend of Ian Livingstone, or Sir Ian Livingstone, who does the Fighting Fantasy books and also Tomb Raider. So I got to meet him as well, and he was a big fan. No, I was a big fan of him, and because of all the game books, and that's why I write Choose Your Own Adventure books, because I got into them at when I was 12 or so. So I got to meet him there as well. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. So yeah, that's
very
why.
cool.
So I was in the same room as Michael Palin. I didn't hear him say that, but yeah, it's a nice thing to say. I mean, it's just, why not?
Growing up in the UK, how was that for you? I'm assuming you grew up loving Monty Python.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, it was just amazing. All the it was the Holy Grail and all those sorts of films. Yeah, no, it was. It's surreal. It's very surreal sometimes when I think the stuff that I've had the chance to do. Yeah, I would say the sitcom that I wrote and we produced had Norman Lovett, who played Holly in Red Dwarf. So
Oh, it's awesome.
Red Dwarf.
Yeah,
the
huge fan
original
of Red
Holly.
Dwarf.
Yeah. So it's so he was in that as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just all sorts of weird and wonderful things. But it's very much, I will just, if I think I can do it, I'll just give it a go and learn from there. Learning on the job, I guess. So
that's awesome. When's the next time you're going to come to the States? Is it going to be like a convention or a promotional kind of thing?
I would imagine at this time it's going to be. I imagine it's going to be the San Diego Comic Con again. I think. I'd love to come before. I'd love to come as often as I can. But I think comic wise, because the Antarctica trade is coming out in February.
Oh, cool.
And the second one is coming out, I think, just before, so June or maybe early July. Next year, so we'll have two trades then as well. So I'll be able to sit there and sign those, and I'll be a very happy Simon, I tell you. So, yeah. So that's the plan. But yeah, always open. If anybody wants to say, Simon, why don't you come here? I will. I have a passport and can travel.
So. Oh, fantastic! I would love to meet you at some point. If you're ever in New York, or maybe I'll see you in San Diego next year. I've only been to San Diego Comic Con once, and it was such a great experience, and I could never manage to take the time to go again. So it's kind of like it's like I'm hunting for that fix again. All right, Simon, what do you want to leave us with? It's been a pleasure talking to you. Anything. Well, anything at all.
I think I would be remiss if I wasn't to say, if you haven't seen Antarctica, go grab it. Obviously, you can read it online. You can buy it from like an online digitally. I'm sure your local comic shop will also have it. So if go and ask for it there. And just if you can support the comic, means I get to keep writing this this expansive story, which will keep you guessing. So yeah, please do. That's the best takeaway I can have at the moment. Is if you can go and have a look at that. So
awesome, Simon. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Simon for coming on. That was a great interview. I love talking to creators. It's kind of the best. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I wish I could put out more of these, but you know what? Time, baby. It'll happen. We're going to talk more comics. We're going to talk more wrestling. We're going to do a bunch of cool stuff going into the future. I'll have some discount codes for you, some affiliate stuff. But in the meantime, please subscribe to this channel. Send it to your friends. Have them subscribe. It's BTC Rich X on YouTube. And also, come and check me out on Twitter, my social media platform of choice so far. I feel like I have to get on a bunch of them, but for now, it's Twitter at BTC Rich. All right. Love you, my babies. Later.